Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Red Dead Online and we're doing another outfit guide, and today it's for the historical Teddy Roosevelt as a Rough Rider outfit guide. So after I did my initial Teddy Roosevelt guide, people were like, well, there was basically two camps, people that wanted to see him as a cowboy and people that wanted to see him as a Rough Rider. And so I figured, since I already had a pretty decent Rough Rider outfit for him, that I would show that one. So before we jump into the video, if at any point along the line you find yourself liking it, definitely click that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It would be very helpful, as even though we've improved it, we're still hovering at around the high 80s for the amount of people who are not subscribed who view the channel. So we've definitely improved it from where we were at like 97 when we started this campaign of trying to get people to subscribe to the channel, but there's still a long way to go. So if you can, please subscribe to the channel now. So let's just dive on in, and before we get to it with weapons, let me just tell you a little bit of historical information about Teddy Roosevelt as a Rough Rider. Among Theodore Roosevelt's many lifetime accomplishments, few capture the imagination as easily as his military service as a Rough Rider during the Spanish-American War. America had become interested in Cuba's liberation in the 1890s as publications portrayed the evil of Spanish rule. No one favored Cuban independence more than Roosevelt. As Assistant Secretary of the Navy, he beat the war drum and prepared the Navy for the war with Spain. The battleship USS Maine was dispatched to Havana, Cuba. After a few quiet months anchored at Havana Harbor, the Maine suddenly exploded, killing 262 American sailors. Spain denied blowing up the Maine, but the U.S. Navy investigation concluded that the explosion was caused by a mine. The cause of the explosion remains a mystery, but American journalists and Assistant Secretary Roosevelt at the time felt certain that it was a Spanish act of war. Shortly thereafter, war was declared. Roosevelt served gallantly during this brief conflict, which lasted from May to July of 1898. An eager Roosevelt resigned his post of Assistant Secretary of the Navy and petitioned Secretary of War Alger to allow him to form a volunteer regiment. Although he had 3 years of experience as a captain with the National Guard, Roosevelt deferred leadership of the regiment to Leonard Wood, a war hero with whom he was friendly. Wood, as colonel, and Roosevelt as lieutenant colonel, began recruiting and organizing the first U.S. volunteer cavalry. They sorted through 23,000 applications to form the regiment. Roosevelt's fame and personality turned him into the de facto leader of this ragtag group of polo players, hunters, cowboys, Native Americans, and athletic college buddies. The regiment of Roosevelt's Rough Riders was then born. The Rough Riders participated in two important battles in Cuba. The first action they saw occurred at the Battle of Las Guasimas on June 24th, where the Spanish were driven away. The Rough Riders lost 7 men with 34 wounded. Roosevelt narrowly avoided bullets buzzing by him into the trees, showering splinters around his face. He led troops in a flanking position and the Spanish fled. American forces then assembled for an assault on the city of Santiago through the San Juan Hills. Colonel Wood was promoted in the field, and in response, Roosevelt happily wrote, "I got my regiment." The Battle of San Juan Heights was fought on July 1st, which Roosevelt called the great day of my life. He led a series of charges up Kettle Hill towards San Juan Heights on his horse, Texas, while the Rough Riders followed on foot. He rode up and down the hill, encouraging his men with orders to march. He killed one Spanish with a revolver that was salvaged from the Maine. Other regiments continued alongside him, and the American flag was raised over San Juan Heights. Hostilities ceased shortly after Santiago fell to siege, and the Treaty of Paris gave the United States its first possessions, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. The war had lasting impacts. The splendid little war lasted 10 weeks. It destroyed the Spanish Empire and ushered in a new era of American empire. Roosevelt's political career ignited as he returned a war hero and national celebrity. He charged on horseback to victory at Kettle Hill, and, collectively, San Juan Heights, and continued riding the horse all the way to the White House, just 3 years later. Roosevelt was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor 100 years later for what was described as acts of bravery on the 1st of July, 1898, near Santiago de Cuba, Republic of Cuba, while leading a daring charge up San Juan Hill. Alright, so we're going to start it off with the first weapon here, and it's going to be the main service rifle during the Spanish-American War, which is the conflict where Teddy Roosevelt served as commander of the Rough Riders. And so that gun would, in real life, be the Craig Jorgensen rifle. Here, it's just going to be the bolt-action rifle in the game, because that's what this rifle is based off of, is the Craig Jorgensen. So the way that we're going to design this to make it look pretty standard is we're not going to give it a scope, no wrap, but we're going to do the rest of the improvements. And then we're going to give it the dark walnut varnish, because they had a pretty dark-looking stock generally generally speaking. And then no carvings, no engravings, because it's just a military rifle. We don't want anything fancy on it. And for the design, we're going to have it just like I have it here. Blued steel for the barrel, frame, the hammer, and the sight, and then just plain iron for the trigger and the bolt. And that's going to make it look pretty dang factory for how they would have looked for the average soldier using them. Teddy Roosevelt was known, and most of the Rough Riders were known to use a modified version of the Craig Jorgensen, which shortened up the barrel, took some of the furniture off, made it lighter and shorter, which made it more effective as a mounted carbine weapon because they were a cavalry unit. But we can't do that, obviously, so I still think that this rifle is the best one for a Rough Rider uniform. All right, and so for our sidearm for Teddy Roosevelt, we're going to be doing his famous Colt revolver that he used. He used it famously in the charge up San Juan Hill and then was known to have it for a while afterwards. It was in a museum for a while and then someone stole it and then it got back. So this gun has had a storied history, but it's basically just a pretty standard revolver. So in the game, it's the double action revolver. We're going to have the nice long barrel on it, improved rifling, improved sights, the ebony grips, and then no carving, no engraving, and all black and steel for the look of it. A pretty decent weapon in the game if you know how to use it, because it's got a nice high fire rate, really fast reload speed, but it's not super accurate unless you really take your time on each shot, and it does very low damage. So it's not the best weapon in the world in the game, but it is the weapon that Teddy Roosevelt used while he was a Rough Rider, and most likely everyone else used as well. So that is the sidearm for this outfit, and the last weapon we're going to be looking at today. So for the hair, we're going to be using the middle parted fade, and we're going to be using the number 2 color, so this kind of dark but medium dark brown. It looks pretty much exactly like not only Teddy Roosevelt's hair from the time, but it was basically the standard haircut in the Spanish-American War, or at least as close to a standard haircut as they had back then. So that's the haircut. For the facial hair, we're going to be using the game's version of a spruce mustache and using the walrus, and again, we're going to be using color 2. It's going to match the hair pretty well, and it matches his from most photographs really well. There's some photographs where you see where he has quite a bit more reddish looking hair, but in a lot of the ones, especially when he's a Rough Rider, it looks really dark, so I like to go with the darker brown. And then we are going to include stubble, because he's in a combat zone and not likely to be clean shaven every single day. So that is the hair and facial hair for this outfit. Alright, and so here we have the outfit in its entirety, and now, obviously, it's not 100% perfect. We don't have anything in the game that is going to be perfect for this outfit just because there is a criminal lack of military surplus clothing in this game. It's especially annoying when you realize the fact that you can actually dress up Cripps at the camp. You can actually dress him up in 2 different military surplus uniforms that look way better than anything we can make, so it's very, very annoying. But I think this actually does a decent job and looks an awful lot like what he wears in most of his famous photographs, with one of the only obvious flaws being the fact that we can't put our cavalry gloves over the sleeves. They have to be under the sleeves, which is annoying. But other than that, it works rather well. So let me just show you the stuff. So for the hat, I went with this brown variant of the Wentworth hat, and now this is a collector item, so if you want to get this hat, you'll have to get the collector roll and level it up until you can purchase the Wentworth outfit, and with each outfit you'll get a hat, and one of them has this color. And so this is the one that I like the most, just because it looks very, very similar to real-life historical hats from the time period, especially for riflemen, and especially for mounted riflemen like these guys were. So I think this hat works perfect, but there are 2 other hats that would also work if you don't have this one or you just don't like how it looks. So the next option is the Dedham hat, and this one is part of the Dedham outfit. It's Bill Williamson's outfit. You can purchase it for, I believe, $1,200 from Madame Nazar, so it's not very cheap. But this one is an excellent option because it's got a real dark color, it's got the same style. It actually has the cavalry insignia on the side. If you look at it there, you can see it's got the cavalry pin, the 2 crossed sabers, which is perfect because that actually matches even better than the one I had before, so I changed my mind to this is the best hat. I didn't choose it just because it had a hole in it. I didn't realize that we did actually have the cavalry sabers on it, so this is by far the best hat. But like I said, to get it, you have to go to Madame Nazar and buy the whole Dedham outfit. So it might be a little expensive just to make this outfit, but I think it's worth it because the hat does look great. Then for eyewear, we're going to have to go with the brass spectacles. Teddy Roosevelt was pretty famous for wearing spectacles that look almost exactly like this for much of his adult life, and so there's not really any way around that, and they definitely tie the entire outfit together in my opinion. You know, it separates it from a Rough Rider and Teddy Roosevelt. For the gloves, we're going to be using cavalry gloves, and the light tan variant are the best option in my opinion. Like I said, this outfit would be about 100 times better if we could put the gloves on the outside of the sleeves for this jacket, not on the inside, because cavalry wears their gloves on the outside. It's to prevent their sleeves from getting jammed full of dust and other debris. For the gun belt, I think the best option is this kind of brownish red variant of the sharpshooter gun belt, and I did that for 2 reasons, one of which being it matches the outfit rather well, and it also kind of matches the belt that is on the jacket that we're wearing. Now for the outfit, we have I've basically just put together two different sections of a trader outfit to make a good Rough Rider outfit. So that's the top that we used, is the Sunderland. But then for the bottom, we used the Monterey. So it's the first one you unlock. It's got the right lace-up front military style boots tucked up nice and high. The pants match the jacket very well, so that's the reason I went with this. So that is, in a nutshell, how you make this outfit. So I know it's unfortunate if you aren't a trader or whatever, you're going to have to get it if you want to imitate this, but I think that currently in the game, since we don't have, an appropriate level of military surplus clothing, this is the best we can get when we want to imitate Colonel Teddy Roosevelt as a Rough Rider. Like I said, it's got problems. I don't love the gun belt, especially the way that it sticks out. That's really annoying. But what are you gonna do? You got to deal with what you're given. So that's Teddy Roosevelt as a Rough Rider. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you like this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.